Hey, what's going on everybody? It's Easy Victus here with another video for all of your animated show and movie related needs. Today, my peeps, we'll be discussing a highly debated topic about Aang and Korra, and that's who would win in a one-on-one fight. Now everybody, I just wanted to say a big thank you to everyone that got my video to 4,000 views. Like what? About what's the most powerful element in Avatar: The Last Airbender and why. Like that's literally incredible and I appreciate that so much, guys. Thank you. And guys, I know you're excited to start the video, so let's just get right into it, okay? Let's get it. I wanted to do this video for so long, so I'm very excited to be explaining how I think this will go down. At the very end, there can only be one victor. Ladies and gentlemen, here we have in one corner, the brute that's pretty damn cute, Korra! And in the other corner, we have the arrowhead boy who once turned into a monstrous koi, Aang! Now I want a good clean fight. Let's go. So what we have to cover first are the abilities that both Korra and Aang can bend and how proficient they are with each one. Let's start with air first. Air. Air is the element that encompasses freedom. It's free and knows no bounds, just like the air nomads who have practiced it for hundreds and thousands of years. Aang was a master airbender and a true prodigy, with him being the first airbender to master the entire form at 12 years old. Also, he created a new form of travel, which was the air scooter. Being born into the air nomads, he has practiced his spiritual connection and meditation vigorously, making him very patient and cunning. This also comes through whenever we see him fight others. He waits until they tire out or antagonizes them until they make a mistake, etc., and is almost always unscathed after his fights. As we all could have guessed, Aang also uses airbending almost exclusively whenever fighting anybody. It is the element that he's most comfortable with, so this makes sense. Airbending in itself is a very tactical bending style, waiting for the opponent to tire themselves out and delivering blows right where they need to be, without sustaining any yourself. To really get everything you can out of air, you need to be light on your feet, decisive, and patient, which is exactly what Aang has at his disposal. While we turn our attention to Korra on the other hand, she is not patient whatsoever. Korra had the most problems when trying to learn how to airbend. With her combative and battle-hungry nature, she just wasn't at home with the element. The meditation, spiritual realization are just things that don't float Korra's boat. But she did actually use and continue to use airbending after she hit Amon with it when she didn't have any other abilities at her disposal. Afterwards, she began to use it more frequently, but not as it is really intended to be used. Using it almost exclusively offensively and not defensively, and not waiting to tire out her opponent, she just charges headfirst into any fight. I give the airbending upper hand of course to Aang. He is a quick and patient boy. Water. Aang has been seen using water the second most compared to air, which is his primary element. He's always had a very easy time with water ever since he began to learn it with Katara, learning techniques that can take months in literal minutes, to much of Katara's disliking at first. With most elements, he just snaps his fingers and he's already a master. That's one thing that's quite extraordinary about him. Water is the element of change. Waterbenders use the force of their own opponent and their power against them, with powerful offensive and defensive moves. Water also deals a lot with the flow of energy, part of the reason why Aang is so good at it. He's very spiritually inclined. Now Korra grew up in a water tribe and you would think her primary element would be water, but it was actually fire, but we will get to that later. Korra's waterbending abilities, when used, are quite devastating, but she never uses them nearly as much as she should. Compared to Aang, who includes it in a lot of his fights, utilizing it when he needs to. Her waterbending attacks come from an area of brute strength. She's never too tactical in her moveset, mostly instinctual, acting on her emotions to get her through a fight instead of logically thinking most of the time. Korra also didn't ever bring water with her to use for battle like Katara did, which is weird to me. Like, why wouldn't you just have it there to use? Confusion. I would give the upper hand to Aang in waterbending. He uses it much more often and can be very effective with it. Although Korra's moveset with water can be very devastating, she almost never uses the element. Fire. Ow! I scratched myself. Whew. Fire is the element of power, and for Aang, fire came just as easily as water did, which was pretty damn easy. He learned it in less than a day, just like Aang does, and was playing around with the element. But out of carelessness, he burned Katara on accident and she ran off. Due to this, and how much guilt he had for hurting her, he stopped using it for quite a while, until season 3, whenever Zuko became his firebending teacher. So he was very good at it, but only used it for a day, until he started really practicing it with Zuko very close to Sozin's comet. Korra was also truly gifted in her firebending ability, using it in various ways and very effectively in many of her battles. Unlike Aang though, she never feared her power with it or hurt anyone she loved with it. So she was able to master the element further and really make her efficiency in it something to behold. Fire was Korra's primary element and she loved to use it. Due to her brash and hard-headed nature, I believe this is why. She was very aggressive and hates losing, just like any other firebender. The upper hand for fire goes to Korra, due to her many years mastering the element and it being her primary fighting element also. Earth. Now Aang had the most trouble with earth. Earth is the element of substance. He had the most trouble with earth due to his primary element he used and growing up being air. They are polar opposites, one being very tough, dirty, and stubborn, while the other light, clean, and free. For a guy that was light on his feet, he had to learn instead of dodging and evading so much, to stand there and hold his ground with earth, to instead of let the enemy tire themselves out all the time, maybe use a little bit of offense. This isn't to say that he was bad at using the element afterwards. No, he was truly a master of earth and used it in a variety of battles. He also was one of the very few people to ever use seismic sense, which Toph taught to him, where he could sense an opponent's action before she or he actually launched the attack, by feeling the sound waves in the earth caused by the opponent. Now for Korra, earth came very easily, just as easily as fire did. With this being her secondary element, she was truly great at it, utilizing the element when it benefited her the most, which with her style of head-on attack and brute force, it came in very handy. She, just like Earth, is very stubborn and tough, but not that quick. I give the upper hand for Earth to Korra. She has used it for many years and mastered it, and her attitude and personality go along with it swimmingly. Even though she doesn't know seismic sense, she uses it more often and knows a broader range of moves. So with that said, Aang has Korra one-upped with water and air, but Korra has Aang one-upped with earth and fire. So we have them tied for both of their bending ability prowess. Now on to the Avatar state, and oh buddy, this is gonna be fun. Let's start with Korra. She's a very headstrong and tough person, and isn't very patient. Her spiritual ability is lacking, and that's one of the main reasons that it took her so long to finally airbend. Whenever an avatar goes into the avatar state, they call on all of their past lives to help them and give them their strength, power, and wisdom. For Korra, that was very hard to do. Her avatar state was more of a temporary boost to whatever she was doing. Kind of like a strong nudge in power and strength, because her spiritual connection was very lacking to her past selves. This made her avatar state much weaker than it could have been, cutting her off from a lot of the power her past selves had to offer. Although it is true that she could go into and out of the avatar state a lot easier than Aang could, it wasn't as powerful. Now for Aang, wow, was his avatar state something to behold. His spiritual connection was so great that he was able to call on any avatar and every avatar that he wanted to help him in his battle that he was in. He was a true force of nature, and anything that came into his path would be utterly destroyed. Nothing could stop him once he fully got into the state. But he wasn't able to control it as well as Korra. He suppressed a lot of his anger to control his emotions so he wouldn't hurt anybody in that state. Of course, by season 3's final episode, he finally learned to control it a lot more. It wasn't entirely on command though. I definitely feel like the upper hand for the Avatar state would have to go to Aang. His power is so great that nobody could withstand it for too long. It might take him a while to get into it, but once he does, you better pack your bags, because it's time for you to leave. I think the fight would go something like this. In an open field or valley, Aang and Korra would be at odds with one another. Maybe Korra stole Katara away with her charm, or maybe Aang showed Asami his rippling biceps, and she chose him instead of Korra. Okay, I think it's funny that this is what my mind comes to whenever I think that they would be fighting. It's just like, it's like they're them charming each other's love interest. You know, like, anyway, let's keep going. It would start by Korra rushing in and attacking Aang with a barrage of firebending and earthbending, which he would evade and look for an opening. Once he saw one, he would hit her in the side with a gust of wind that would throw her off balance, but not on the ground. Continuing to throw everything she had at him, he would get out of the way quicker, seeing her attack patterns as he watches and learns where she's most vulnerable. She would try to hit him with a large rock, but he would step to the side and knock her down with a very concentrated air whoosh, which she would get up from quickly but wouldn't change her moveset. She would keep attacking just like she did before, and taking a hit whenever she left a part of her defense down while attacking. Over and over until she was weaker, and he would draw 2 earth columns from the ground to encase her hands and legs, where he would try to reason with her. Her having none of it would instantly go into the Avatar state and hit him with a rock that would hit him square in the chest, flying him backwards. Breaking free of the earth, she would come at him full force in the Avatar state. Blocking and evading as he's hurt, he would try to not go into the Avatar state himself, but just hold her off, but she would be way too much. The over and over attacks while he's already so weak would be the tipping point, and he would have to go full on Angie Aang mode on her and go crazy. Thinking that she just won, she would hit him into the ground, where he would try to push himself up slowly, turn around, and showcase his glowing eyes and tattoos. Flying into the air with a bubble of air and circular streams of fire, earth, and water around him, he would rush her head on, with all of the power of the past avatars behind him. She would try to evade and take the attacks, but they would simply be too much. A literal god would be pelting her with every element, one after the other, and she wouldn't be able to hold up. After throwing her into a giant rock, she would sit there motionless, and he knew that he had won. Walking up to her, he would apologize as he held her head in his hands and took away her bending forever, instead of giving it back like he did before. The end. So everybody, did you like the video? Did you not like it? Please let me know in the comment section down below and tell me which avatar you think would win in a 1v1 bout. I think it was so much fun to do this and share my opinion with you guys. I've been wanting to talk about this for a while, so it was really nice. Also, stay notified when my next video comes out by clicking my big old noggin right here to subscribe, and also click that bell to get notifications when my videos go live next, which is every Tuesday and Friday. And check out one of my related videos here where I talk about the next Avatar series that we all must see and exactly why. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe and have a great day.